Okay, right back into it like we never even left. Cabal Acolyte, 4 mana, 2/6 priest taunt. Spell burst, gain control over random enemy minion with 2 or less attack. I think this card is a super awesome anti-aggro tool that will, if priests are strong enough to be allowed to play Hearthstone, this, just the fact that priests are in the metagame is going to be able to really almost across the board, possibly, I'm not certain, but possibly across the board, just shut down aggro, because already priest has 2 Breath of the Infinites, 2 Holy Novas to kind of take care of things, and now you're adding a few more tools that are actually quite strong. This has taunt, and it's quite resilient at 2/6 stat line. You have a tough time getting through. You can drop Greetings Fellow Humans right after it, and you have two 2/6s with taunt, both which deal with at least 1 minion on the other side. Just taking control of a Cabal Shadow Priest. If Cabal Shadow Priestess, is it priest or priestess? I don't know. Super strong, really good. I'm loving this card. I think this card is going to be a 5. This card is awesome. I think this card possibly single-handedly puts a huge dent into aggressive game plans. You really have to account for a card like this. This and the other 4 mana 2/5 that was a neutral, which is a 2 mana AoE. I'm not sure how crowded that 4 mana spot is going to be for priest in particular, but I think this is going to be super strong. Maybe it's not a 5, maybe a 4, but I think it's going to be great. And these strings are going to be awesome when we can see it in the golden version. Mozaki, Master Doulas. 5 mana 3/8. After you cast a spell, gain spell damage +1. I think this card sucks. I don't want to say it sucks, but I think this card probably sucks. It's probably pack filler. I hate to see legendary pack fillers, but I just don't know what else. 5 mana 3/8, like, it's a cool stat line, but it just does nothing. It's not really doing anything. After you cast a spell, gain spell damage +1. I mean, maybe it's kind of cool that you can, like, Ray of Frost. You can, like, double Ray of Frost and do 3 damage to something, and then you have spell damage. Then you have +2 spell damage. But I just don't really know that. I mean, like, Spell Mage already can't play this card, and regular Mage, I just don't know. Maybe, like, with that Combustion card, makes it a little bit stronger. I mean, you have Rolling Fireball, which is pretty strong. It's pretty strong already, right? And, like, you already have your Solarian, which is giving you a little bit of spell damage. We have that, what is that, 4 mana 4/3 that gives spell damage +2. That's never seen play ever, and I'm pretty sure that that card is probably better than this card if you only get to cast 2 spells that do damage. But then again, this is any spell, so your Ray of Frost, you have to get your Incanter's flow off always, right? You have to get the flow down, because otherwise it's just going to be way too clunky and way too difficult. There might be some sort of, like, OTK or, like, just big burst damage that you can do later on in the game. Like, if you're able to save your Frostbolts or your Fireballs and things like that, or maybe if you have, like, you require my assistance, what's his name? Tony? Maybe it could be strong as a later game tool with something like that, but I'm honestly not seeing it. It's a really premium stat line, but I'm not sure that 5 mana 3/8 is good enough when Mage is already having a slower start. So I'm going to say this is like a 2. I don't think this is going to be good enough. Ace Hunter Crane. Shout out to Hunter Ace, by the way. Your other characters are immune while attacking. 3 mana 2/4. So first of all, the 3 mana slot in Hunter is already really, really tight. So that's troublesome. But Hunter's whole game plan is get a 1 drop out, get a 2 drop out, just keep curve stone, right? So this on 3 is going to be great, especially with, like, your Fairy Dragons and things like that. Fairy Dragon is already so strong against a lot of classes, a few different classes rather. And the really only way to deal with the Fairy Dragon is to destroy it with a minion. So using this to protect your Fairy Dragon could actually be pretty sick. And you're also able to protect your 1-drop, maybe a Blazing Battle Mage, maybe your Sharpshooter. I think this is quite strong in Hunter. I think this will be quite strong in Hunter. On the Demon Hunter side, you know, Tempo Demon Hunter was a little bit hurt, a lot of it hurt, rather, this entire format, basically. I think this gives it another tool to possibly work with, but of course you can only play one of these in the deck, so it will be to be seen if it ends up being worthwhile or particularly valuable. But I really like this card. I think it's really cool. I think it should be really strong. I think as long as you have a board, this card is pretty much nuts. So you don't have to just play it on 3. You can play it any turn thereafter, as long as you have a bit of a board. And if your opponent is trying to contest your board by building their own board, it's just not going to work out for them. So I really like this card. I'm going to give it like a 4. I think it could be really strong. It could honestly even be a huge problem. And it's a premium stat line. 3 mana, 2/4. It's sick. Really good. Ceremonial Maul. Spellburst, summon a student with taunt and stats equal to the spell's cost. Very cool. This is for Paladin and Warrior. Warrior, you know, as we were talking about in the last video, almost all of the Warrior weapons that are being played right now are 3 mana. Livewire Lance, Ankar. Of course, now after the Corsair Cache nerf, I think we're looking back into possibly playing like the 5 mana card, the 5 mana weapon, 5/2. I forget what it's called. This of course has spell burst only one time. So what are you really using it with? If you're playing this on 3, are you going to be playing a spell on 4? I think Warrior is mostly playing cheap spells in the early game. So I'm not like, it feels like the most you're ever going to get out of this is like a Blade Storm, a 3 mana card. And then does that happen? I'm not sure how Spell Burst works, if your 3 mana guy would get hurt by the Blade Storm too. I'm not certain. I'm not really feeling this card too much. I think in Paladin, right now it's like Libram Paladin. I mean, most of the time you're just playing a 0 mana Libram or a 1 mana Libram or 2 mana Libram. So I don't quite think that it's going to be working out too well in Paladin. Maybe you play it with like a Call to Adventure. Maybe if you're really lucky, you get to play it with like a Blessing of Kings. But like, are we really going to be playing Blessing of Kings in Paladin? I don't think so. So I'm not sure how much sense this makes. It's kind of a cool idea, but 3 mana 2/2 weapon. As we saw once the Corsair Cache nerf hit, 3 is such a major breakpoint this format that 2 damage just doesn't get it done. So if that ends up being the same next format, I don't think this card is going to see much play, if any. I'm going to give this a 2.5. I don't think it's going to be good enough. Totem Goliath, Death Rattle, summon all 4 basic totems, overload 2, and it's a 5 mana 4/5, and it is itself a totem. Since the most recent nerfs, we've seen some Totem Shaman. I think this would be a great card to put on the top end of that. It's a great reload. I think Totem Shaman's biggest problem is you nut out all of your totems early. You play your weird synergies that make them like 2/4 totems. You play your other cards that are like 0 mana, give all of your totems 2 attack or 2 health. It's ridiculous. And your opponent just can't deal. And if they can deal, you're done, right? The game is over. This is actually super cool. You just put it in at the top end of your Totem Shaman, and you get a single card to reload your entire thing. Really awesome. Very, very cool. The only thing is it does have to die. So, I don't know. It might be a little bit slow because of that. It might be just a little slow because of that. Because obviously your opponent's just like never going to kill this if they can afford to not kill it. But maybe you've just done so much damage to them at this point that they have to kill it, they have to deal with it, and then next turn you can like hit them with, you can hit them with a Bloodlust. You can even play Bloodlust. I'm not sure how tight that list is going to be, but I think this does enable Totem Shaman to get a little bit more lasting potential and kind of last into the mid game a little bit more if it's unable to close the game out early, and it gives you away. Similar with Demon Hunter, right? Like Demon Hunter was just super, super aggressive in the early game, And usually with aggro decks, if you just fizzle them out in the early game, they're done. But Demon Hunter had so many tools going into the mid game and the late game that even if you stopped them from building a board early in the game and letting them snowball a board, they could still just kill you late game because they had Metamorphosis, they had Adept, they had Warglaives, they had all types of crazy stuff. So this could actually possibly enable that kind of game plan for Totem Shaman. I'm not quite sure. Let's see. I'm going to give it a 3, 3.5. It's a good stat line, and it's kind of a cool effect. It's only going to see playing that Totem Shaman deck, which we've seen recently is actually one of the strongest decks in the format. It's one of the only decks that can possibly be an aggressive deck that moves into the next format, because Murloc Paladin, they're really, like, if you have an AoE, it's done, you know what I mean? But with Totem Shaman, because of your spells that you kind of add and kind of give your totems more health, this and that, maybe you become more resilient to AoE, so possibly this can kind of push through and still be an aggro deck next format. Let's find out. In which case, this would be like 4.5, because this would like almost single-handedly enable that deck to continue being played if it gets blown out early. Glide. Shuffle your hand into your deck. Draw 4 cards. Outcast your opponent does the same. Is this a Demon Hunter card? Just Demon Hunter, I think. I feel like this card is not that good. I feel like this card is probably kind of light. It's kind of a cool effect with Outcast that your opponent throws their hand away. It destroys, like, Quest Warlock, for example, because Quest Warlock is all about filling your hand to 10 cards, and this makes them only have 4 cards, although it does advance their quest by 4 cards, but I'm pretty sure stopping their hand size is also a huge deal, because, you know, they can't Dark Skies you. They're probably losing some of their tools, like their Moards and things like that. Kind of interesting. I'm not sure if Disruption Demon Hunter is going to be a thing, or can be a thing. It doesn't really make sense how that deck would win. So I kind of feel like you don't ever want to play this. You only want to play this once you've gassed out your entire hand. And then it's kind of nice because you get to draw a new hand and your opponent's hand gets to go bye-bye, and they're also in kind of a tough spot. Actually, I don't know. It could be good. It could be good in, like, as like a draw tool in like a Tempo Demon Hunter. Because you just kind of nut your hand out onto the board, and then once you're out of gas, you glide, and you just, it takes up your whole turn effectively, but it kind of gives you a little bit of refuel. I'm not sure. Could be good. I'm gonna give it like a 3.5. It might be good, but it might just like never be played. Philosophy. Demon Hunter, Demon Warlock card. I love the wordplay, by the way. Copy the lowest cost demon in your hand. Outcast, give both of them 1+1/+1. I have no idea. I have no idea what this is going to be broken. What this is supposed to be broken with. I feel like there are no demons that even are played, except like Battle Fiend, and it's not even that great with Battle Fiend. Why would you even play this? Just to get a 3rd Battle Fiend. Trying to think of if there are other demons I could play. Maybe that 2-mana Discover Demon Hunter card. But Warlock isn't playing demons. Like Voidwalker, Why Do You Call? Maybe in a zoo type deck. But I think there have to be other demons that would be worth playing, and I'm just not sure what they are supposed to be. Let's actually see. Let's see if we can find anything here. I'll come back to this, because this just shows you. I'm really sorry. I know we're like running. We have like no time in this, but let's just go in here. Oh, Demon Flame is kind of sick with that. But like, would you rather on turn 1 Philosophy coin Flame Imp rather than Flame Imp coin Flame Imp? I'm really not sure. So let's just give Philosophy a 1 and bounce. It's probably not a 1, but 1. 1, 1. Let's just give it a 1. Maybe like a 2. Playmaker, 3 mana, 4/3 warrior card. After you play a rush minion, summon a copy with 1 health remaining. Oh wow, this is crazy with No Tomb Can Hold Me, Restless Mummy. Crazy, really cool. But that's a 7 mana thing. But this is a premium stat line on 3, so if they're not able to deal with it, you know, on 4 you get to just drop No Tomb Can Hold Me and you just go off. Pretty cool. There's also the new warrior legendary, which is a Captain Greenskin, except when it attacks, and it has rush. So you can actually get 2 of those and get your weapon to be improved. But I think that's what turn do you play that on? Is that a 5 or is that a 4? It's 5. So you kind of have to equip your weapon on 3 or on 4. You kind of have to equip the weapon on 3, play this on 4. Maybe you're able to like sword and board at the same time, and then you play the guy on 5. I'm not really sure. It kind of feels like it's not really going to work out the way that you want it to, because as soon as this hits the board, your opponent will deal with it because they just don't want to get blown out by the Restless Mummy or by the Doctor. So that being said, you know, it is nice to have a soft taunt on turn 3, and it is of course premium stat line, but that 3 mana slot for warrior is just so tightly packed with the weapons, with Makara, with like Bloodsworn Mercenary if you have to play that card. Like, you just don't want to have so many 3 mana cards. So I don't know if this is going to see play. I kind of want to give it a 3, 3.5, and I honestly think that they've had to give it the premium stats just so that it can compete with some of the other cards, but I'm not sure it's going to be able to see play. It might actually just be a 2. Archwitch Willow, a legendary, warlock legendary. Summon a random demon from your hand and deck. Oh, let's just be done with this already. This is a 1. This card is horrible, right? It's a pack filler. There are no demons. There are no demons that you care to play. I think the only demon is that, like, is it like 8 mana, 5/7, Death Rattle, summon a 5/5 with Lifesteal, something like that? I don't know. This card sucks. Penflinger, 1 mana, battle cry, deal 1 damage, spell burst, return it to your hand. This is cool. This is like an upgrade to, this is like a direct upgrade to Elven Archer. Because you just get to keep using it and using it and using it over and over again. Of course, you can always run this into something if you don't want to get the spell burst back into your hand. I think this card is cool. Well, I mean, if you don't play Elven Archer or anything, so why would we play this in anything? It's going to be like a 2. Dr. Krastenov, Warrior and Rogue legendary, 5 mana, 4/4 rush. Whenever this attacks, give your weapon +1/+1. It works well with the other thing that we were just talking about. But other than that, it's basically a greenskin. And do we like greenskin? We don't really play greenskin. It's not a pirate, so you don't have to draw it off your Ankar. That's kind of nice. It means you get to draw your skipper more frequently. How much do we really value the upgrade? I don't know that we really value the upgrade. It's a nice tempo tool. 5 mana, 4/4 to clear the board or to clear off a minion. Rogue likes that, but Rogue is already playing Shield of Galakrond in that 5 mana spot. So are we really going to add this in? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. It's not. I feel like it's not that good. I feel like it could be cool. I feel like it could be actually pretty sick if Rogue is able to get weapons going. Like if you drop your Waggle Pick on 4 and then you drop this on 5, you know, it could be cool. I just don't know if the meta is going to allow Rogue to play cards like Waggle Pick and allow Rogue to really play weapons. It kind of feels like it's going to be slow enough that Rogue can afford to play weapons, but like in an aggro meta, Rogue just can't afford to be daggering onto trying to play a weapon poison, trying to play this to improve the weapon, because at some point you're just taking too much damage to the face from your weapon. So I'm not sure if this is going to work. Really cool artwork though, and I wonder if there's going to be like, if he's going to do something with hands in the golden iteration, but I just don't think this card is going to be it. I think it'll be fun to experiment with on day 1, so I'm not entirely opposed to getting it in a pack. Like, I'm super opposed. Like, if I get this card in a pack, I'm going to be so hot. Unless we get some more demons in this expansion, which I'm sure we will, right? Possibly making that card worthwhile. I'm going to give this a 2... be a 2. Star Student Selena, 4 mana, 4/3, outcast. Look at 3 cards in your opponent's hand, shuffle one of them into their deck. This card is also not good, right? Also kind of disruptive, Demon Hunter, kind of cool, kind of fun, but I just don't think this is that good. Like, what cards do you really want to shuffle into your opponent's deck? Like Mage, against Mage, I guess you want to get rid of Reno or something like that, but Mage on turn 4, turn 5, they haven't really done much. Maybe they're like trying to Arcane Intellect. Maybe for the most part they're just pinging and stuff like that, which means that their hand is going to be fat. It's very reasonable for them to have between 6 and 8 cards in their hand by the time you play this. So you're not even always going to see the Reno to pitch it back. The stat line kind of sucks, and the effect also kind of sucks, and it has to be outcasted. If it's not outcasted, this is just a 4 mana 4/3 blank, so I'm pretty sure this card sucks. I don't think that disrupting one card from your opponent's game plan is good enough. Against Priest, like, maybe you hit a Breath of the Infinite, but they have a second Breath of the Infinite, and they have 2 Holy Novas. Like, I don't really know what you're expecting to really send back with this card, so I think this card is a 1. And again, I hate to see legendary pack filler like this. I think this is, I mean, I don't want to say that it's pack filler because it's such a unique effect, and it is kind of an interesting and cool effect, but I don't think it's good enough. Ooh, speaking of good enough though, Mage Hunter. The Edwin counter, hard counter to Edwin, and really just counter to any death rattle. Like, it can't, the reason I say a difference between, I make a distinction between hard counter and counter is because Greetings Fellow Humans gets countered by this, but it doesn't get killed by this, right? So it's not a hard counter, whereas this straight up kills Edwin. This straight up kills Twilight Drake. This straight up deals with things of that type of nature, like that an Earth Shock can clear, and it just shuts down all death rattles, which I'm not certain that there's too many death rattles that we really want to be seeing, but that we're really going to be seeing in this meta. But it's really good. It single-handedly deals with eggs and things of that nature, so I think this card is going to be possibly niche, but I think it could be really good. And oh my god, it shuts down Libram Paladin, hardcore hard body. Because you just can't leave your Librams on things, because this will just come in and take care of that. So this card is really sick. I'm going to give this a 4. I really like it. It's not the strongest thing, 3 mana 2/3, but it's an Iron Beak Owl, you know, with a better body. Really nice. I like it. Lordkeeper Polkelt. 4 mana 4/5, Battlecry, reorder the deck from the highest cost card to the lowest cost card. This is kind of cool in the late game, because you can just stop drawing all your garbage, and I think for that reason it could be pretty interesting in like a Highlander style deck. That's probably the only thing that wants to play it. Maybe like a combo deck. I saw something on Hearthstone Reddit where somebody was like, you play a Malagos, you play Togwaggle Scheme, you play Lorekeeper, you play Wondrous Wand, all of a sudden you get 3 free Malagos, and you win the game on the spot, basically. That would be sick, but it really requires a lot of setup. It requires you to have this card in your hand, it requires you to have Malagos in your hand, it requires you to have had your Togwaggle Scheme in the hand for 3 turns, it requires you to have your lackeys, which you're probably not playing this in a straight up Galacron deck, because that kind of combo deck really requires you to cycle. And Rogue definitely does have the possibility to cycle with the stealth package with Skyvateer, with Sage, and but you might have to play things like Shiv. Maybe you have to find a way to try and play Auctioneer, although it's probably not going to work out too well. It might. It could. Then you have to play like things like Prep and things like that. I'm really not certain how good this is going to be. And maybe you can just play it in a Galacron deck, because Galacron itself, of course, draws a lot of cards. But I'm not so sure how feasible that's going to be to pull that off. It requires like 4 or 5 different combo pieces. But if the meta slows down enough, this might really be useful to enable combos. In Wild, this can probably fit right into the Shirvala Holy Wrath deck. even in standard, it probably enables Holy Wrath to like be a Pyroblast. Maybe you can like play this and Holy Wrath. Maybe you can play this and then next turn play double Holy Wrath, and that does like 17-20 damage. Could be cool. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes, how this works. I think it's a really fun card, and I think it can possibly enable some really cool combos from a deck building perspective. But I'm not sure how competitively viable it's going to be. So I'm going to give this like a 3. Sphere of Sapience. This is the last card, I think, right? At the start of your turn, look at your top card. You can put it on the bottom and lose 1 durability. This is a neutral weapon. So every class can use this. This is really cool. You basically, when you're drawing, you'll see the card that you would draw, and you can decide, do I want this, or would I take rather take a different random card in my deck? And if you decide to take a different card in your deck, you put that on the bottom, and then that one shouldn't show up the next time you draw, right? Because it specifically says the bottom. It doesn't say shuffle it back into the deck. It specifically says the bottom. So you actually now know what the bottom card of your deck is when you're using this. Really cool. I'm not sure how much it's going to get played. I'm not sure if it's going to get played, but I think it's really fun. And I hope they give you this card, but it kind of feels like they're not just going to give you this card. It would be really nice if Blizzard would just give you this card so you can kind of play around with it. But probably not gonna work that way. Towards the later game, this excuse me. Towards the later game, this gets a lot of this probably gets a lot stronger actually, because when you're in a top decking mode, you really would love to have 2 opportunities to draw your next card. So actually, this is super good at any time that you have the 1 mana to play it. So I think this card is really cool. I'm not sure if it's going to be seen play in a lot of cards, in a lot of decks, but like most Highlander decks will probably be down to play it. Highlander Hunter's playing Tracking. Another way to find your power cards, your bombs. Pretty good. Let's give it a 3.5. And with that, as you can tell, my voice is killer. I had some spicy food tonight and I'm getting indigested. Very sorry if that grossed anyone out, lol. But this has been a nice, almost 30-minute video. It's been pretty fun. I'm really excited about this set. Let me know what you think of my assessment. I think for the most part I was pretty liking all the cards, but certain things like this, maybe this you might disagree with. I think there are some people who really think these cards might be good. Let me know why, and let me know what you think is going to be kind of broken and super powerful with it. Even this, So yeah, thanks for watching, and hope to see you guys next time. Take care.